Hello everyone and welcome back to another 2 Cents Plus video. Today we're talking about some Diablo 4. I have been loving this beta. This is probably going to be my new favorite game for a while, but I've played and maxed out every class, including Druid, because apparently I hate myself. But my favorite thus far, which is probably a surprise to no one, has been the Necromancer, and there's various reasons for that. The reason for this video is I kind of wanted to go over my build because everybody has been kind of obsessing about Corpseplosion builds. And initially, I was freaking out about it too because it is strong. But, you know, I don't want to talk about Corpseplosion because we all know it's going to be nerfed. So I have been specifically working on a build that is still good, still pretty strong. I feel pretty much just as invincible as I did with Corpseplosion, if not more. This seems to have a little bit more universal utility, so I'm gonna kind of go over what it entails. As you can see, it is a minion build. I have a bunch of skeletons, 6 warriors or defense skeletons, and I have 5 mages, and they are all very strong. Now this might be a surprise, but this is a Thorns build, and that was my intent to go into it when I first started playing Barbarian. I saw the potential of Thorns, and I figured that the Necromancer might have some utility when it comes to Thorns, and they do. It's kind of crazy, this build. So my Thorns right now on my Necromancer is 423, which is pretty high, and that's for me specifically. Um, my skeletons, they all get 50% of whatever my current Thorns is, and that does damage to the enemy. And that alone is already pretty crazy. So if I go to any mobs out here, nothing out here is a threat to me uh, under any circumstances, outside of probably the world boss and some of the mini instance bosses and stuff. But they just do work. I don't do anything. See that? I didn't move. I just stood still. Half of my skeletons didn't even attack. They were getting attacked, and everybody just died. That's just kind of how this build works. It's pretty crazy. So I'm going to go to everybody's favorite dungeon. We're going to spend some time in there, and I'm going to show you guys how this works. As you can see, I only have summoning stuff on my bar and bone attacks. The standard one, which is crazy good. A lot of people have uh, not really seen the true power and utility of this attack, plus the other bone attack, which I have a special prefix for, or affix. Affix? I believe that's the word. I don't know. I've been saying prefix a lot for it, and I think I've been confusing a lot of people whenever I gushing about the game. I think affix is the right term. But anyway, so we're gonna get to the outside of the dungeon. You guys all know where I'm going, and we're gonna run down the build real quick and just kind of let you guys know what's making this kind of engine run because it's pretty, it's it's pretty insane. Like I don't feel in danger really ever. All right, so let's go from head to toe. First off, maximum number of skeletal warriors is up by 2. Apparently, this can be 3. I didn't even know that, but it could be. I also have more thorns on it. Now, my ideal setup would have innate thorns on each one of these pieces of gear, but I haven't had time to min-max at all, and the beta's almost over, so, it is what it is. But I did put thorns on everything that I could, so everything that has a slot you will see has added thorns on it for added thorn ability. But anyway, these two are imprinted. Maximum skeletal mages, maximum skeletal warriors, 2 more, which ups my DPS by whoever's good at math will probably be able to tell you that. This here is also an imprinted skill I put on these gloves. Your skeletons gain increased damage while alive. So after 10 seconds of being alive, they get a flat out 20% increase in damage. This one here, consuming a corpse has a 21% chance to spawn a blood orb. This one's good. I'd much rather have, there's a different one that I have that actually increases the power of a core ability whenever you absorb a corpse or consume a corpse. But I don't think it can go on the pants. which kind of sucks. So that is what it is. On these boots, this is pretty much worthless. Becoming injured while crowd control grants you unstoppable for 4 seconds. I never become injured, so this does nothing. Eventually, I want to replace it. Well, I want it to replace this, but as I said, beta's almost over. And on here, this is where a lot of the magic happen. Bone Spear's primary attack makes enemies hit beyond the first vulnerable for 2.5 seconds, and that is period. As long as it hits them, they become vulnerable. There's no crit requirement or nothing. They just become vulnerable. And shards from Bone Spear deal 100% bonus damage to vulnerable enemies and pierce them. And this is
I cannot do that here.
this is the one where it shoots out and then comes back as 3. So it shoots out at 1 and then comes back as 3. And it makes everything in its path vulnerable, which is kind of OP in itself. Also, the standard boned attack also makes the enemies vulnerable. So it's like their vulnerability on top of my skeleton's DPS, on top of the fact that their own damage is working against them with thorns. So it's a chain reaction here. So let's look at the jewelry. Each time your one of your summoning minions damages an enemy, they gain 21% attack speed for 3 seconds, up to 63%. So that's a 63% boost in attack speed on all of my minions, and I have a lot of them. And that's obviously really good. This next one, deal 10% increased damage for each second you stand still. One thing I have not confirmed about this particular skill is whether or not it affects my minions. I know it affects me, obviously. You can see the bonus down here. Decrease damage increase while standing still. I just don't know if it applies to them. If it does, holy shit. If it doesn't, that's fine. Because, you know, I'm pretty strong myself. So what's next? Okay. Okay, basic skill gains 33% attack speed. Obviously, that's nice because more attack speed means more damage. Plus, the base skill makes the enemies vulnerable, so that's nice too. And then you heal for 7.1 life per second for each close enemy. This is also not really relevant. I just kind of threw this on here. It's not all that useful, but it's nice to regain health whenever. So this is the build. I got thorns on here and everything else. Uh, let's see how it plays out. Oh yeah, and also critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies I have on here. Now, some of the experts, there are a lot of people who are veterans and experts. They'll know. They'll be looking at my stats on these weapons, like the stuff that's not the affixes, and they'll be like, "Wow, you just got a bunch of random crap. None of that stuff is even really benefiting you." And you're right, because like I said, min-maxing has not been a possibility for me during this beta, and it is what it is. But you'll see that that kind of doesn't matter. So let's go in. Just flawless, effortless. They just go through and just completely wreck stuff. I don't have to attack. As a matter of fact, I won't. I just won't attack for a while. Give them a little top heal. We got an elite coming up. Let's see how they handle the elite by themselves without my input. My ice guys are freezing them. That thorns damage every time they attack is working against them. And I'm doing nothing. I'm just hanging out. I'm just chilling. Watching the carnage. Let them get in there and do their thing. Dude, like I was AFKing with this. Just found a place for an event. Had to go make dinner for my family. And because I'm a chef, I went to go cook dinner for my family. Came back. Just loot everywhere. Once again, no contribution. I'm not doing anything. Now, this is what happens when I help. This is me helping. Look at that. Like, this is completely effortless. I only got 2 attacks, by the way. These are the only 2 attacks I'm using. That was a legendary that just dropped. What was it? When a segment of Bone Prison. I get this one a lot. The Bone Prison one. I got a really good one for that, but I don't use Bone Prison because Bone Prison is annoying because it can imprison you also, which is
Mother Annika said
asinine. I hate that. I hate the fact that Bone Prison can also imprison you. Like, you can get trapped inside of your own Bone Prison with the enemy, and that's it's a minor inconvenience. It's not like game breaking. But if you're running a dungeon like this, using Bone Prison is annoying because you're kind of just confined to wherever you used it. Um, oh shit, I'm actually taking damage because I'm just standing in shit. Yeah, obviously don't stand in stuff. I know I was talking about the survivability of this build, and it is pretty high if you're not an idiot and not standing in attacks like a freaking maroon. Otherwise, this thing is crazy strong. And as you can see, I don't know if you guys are paying attention to the how I'm doing my attacks, but with this build, I just alternate between the two. So I do basic, core, basic core, basic core.
I
That's how
love
I
the
attack
medicines.
with this one. Uh, and you basically keep a steady flow of essence because every time your basic hits the enemy, you get more essence back, and it's just enough to throw out another core. So that's the way that I play this build. And even if it's not, like, you'll just, worst case scenario, you'll throw another basic before you throw another, whatever. So it all works out. But as you can see, nothing. This build is so crazy that I got ambushed by the butcher and freaked out because I was like, holy crap, I wasn't expecting it at all. He just kind of showed up and scorpioned me across the map and pulled me over to him, and my minions came in and they just did work. And his attacks were so strong against my minions that they were like losing a lot of health at a time, but he was also doing that damage to himself at the same time. So he just kind of out DPS'd himself, which was crazy. So I effortlessly killed the butcher. Um, I haven't tested the utility of this on the world boss or anything like that, but this set is also really good for bosses, even if you don't have any corpses around, because I discovered that when you use um, what is it, Call of the Dead, Army of the Dead, if you put on the third skill, Army of the Dead also raises your skeletal warriors and mages. So it's probably going to take a while for them to die anyway. But if they do, you just hit that one button, they're all back again. And then by the time the cooldown goes back off and comes back, you should be able to summon them back again. So this build is, it's crazy good. And I don't know if it's like, I don't know if I would call it like, something that needs to be nerfed or OP. It's just heavily optimized, and it's not really this hasn't this isn't even close to its full potential. And that's the funny part, is like I haven't done really anything to fully min max this as far as stats and stuff are concerned. So somebody who really put some effort into this can make this amazing. And I'd like to actually see that. So everybody's talking about Corpse Explosion. It's strong, it's fun, it's cool. But this right here, this is what I like to do. I see all the gimmicky stuff or whatever, and I do jump on that sometimes because it's fun and it's a cool thing to do. But when you can craft something like this build, and it seems so mundane. Like, I know it's not the most entertaining build to play. Like, you're not really doing much, but I love shit like this, man. I love being able to just run through enemies with such what seemingly is a standard build. So okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's go through the abilities real quick so you guys can just see what this build is made of. So Bone Splitters, obviously the first attack. This is the best outside of Hemorrhage. I don't really like Decompose, and I've never even used Reap. but hemorrhage was my go-to for a while because of the survivability and life orbs and stuff. But this is just stronger overall. I went with Initiate's Bone Splitters. Down here, we got 5 points in the Bone Spear because absolutely. Enhanced Bone Spear and Paranormal Bone Spear. We got 1 point in the Hewed Flesh to get more corpses. This isn't really necessary, but it's kind of nice, particularly when you're fighting against bosses. Being able to make a few corpses here or there is nice when you're not using Decompose. So I just tossed 1 point in there. You can do more if you want more corpses, but it's up to you. Here, Skeletal Warrior Mastery, of course. I want my Skeletal Warriors to be stronger. Same down here. Skeletal Mage. I was using Decrepify in this build, and it does help. Decrepify is actually pretty good at making this build even stronger. Problem is, I kept forgetting to use it. You could also use Iron Maiden too, but I just wasn't using it. It was on my bar and I would never hit the button, so I took it off. Even though it does help, if you're not going to use it, then why have it? Neurotic Carapace. When a corpse is formed, your skill from your skills or your minions fortify 6% base life. This is really good. Getting fortification is great, obviously, for any class or build. And then lastly, we have Army of the Dead. So, like I said, very straightforward. You are ignoring so much stuff. Like, there's so many skills on these trees that you're just completely disregarding because they don't really matter. Uh, it's super straightforward. It seems so simplistic, but it's so potent and very powerful. Even Asmongold wouldn't disagree that this is a pretty good build. I would hope. I don't know if Asmongold would ever see this video, but if he did, I'm sure he'd be like, "Yep, yep, that's pretty good. It's pretty good damage." But he'd probably call it boring, most likely, if I know him well enough. Which I don't. I don't know anything about Asmongold. I just watch him a lot. So I don't know why I'm acting like I fucking know the dude. But anyway, this is the build. I think it's fun. You know, very chill. Really good for farming. Absolutely great for farming. Maybe not so good for fun if you want to get into some heavy gameplay and some stuff you really got to focus on and pay attention to. But brain dead farming, this is like the best. Way better than Mage, in my opinion. Way better than Rogue. Way better than Barb. This is just like my go-to. So, just wanted to show that off. Show you guys what I'm working with. And that's it. I don't really have any like crazy outros or anything like that because I barely even make videos. But anyway, hopefully you guys liked it. I'll see you on the next one. Whenever the hell that may be.